Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody had a great weekend. We are back with Can-Am SimSport's CASSCAR Roadmaster Series. Always a treat to watch these guys at the track. So excited to get into this one. Indy is hands down one of my favorite road courses ever. I love it dearly, partially because it is my home track. Obviously, that is a contributing factor, but as a road course, from a road course perspective, it is so enjoyable to drive in just about everything I've ever driven it in. So I'm really excited to get this one out there. I'm not sure why. There it is. The game wasn't coming up. But we are still waiting on a few guys to join, so just bear with us. Oh, looks like we're restarting the server. So I will wait. Oh, I accidentally fucking quit to the desktop. 14 turns. I believe the Indy road course is just shy of 2.5 miles. I don't think it's quite 2.5 miles. Oh, it's just over 2.5 miles. Or no, it is just under 2.5 miles. I apologize. The over 2.5 was the old layout, which they don't use anymore. Going to mask the password here. Okay. Now everything looks to be rolling right, according to them, I guess. Should be... Oh my, this is going to be a long race. Woo! Fasten your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be a long one. Should be in for a treat, though. Waiting on folks to join. So unfortunately, there's a few people that won't be able to make it to the race tonight. Always a bummer when we don't have our full grid out here. And while they get the session ready to roll, I am going to pull up scoring here, so bear with me. We'll go over some of the numbers in the championship. I believe with a 50-lap race, the pits will probably close on lap 23. Though that was not made explicitly clear to me. See if it's in the... pits close lap 25. 26 will be stage points. Full course yellow, end of lap 26. Pits open at the end of lap 27 and green flag at the end of lap 29. So We will find out who is leading this shindig. Currently, championship leader is Nikita. The number 82 Can-Am car had a great race last week. Great battle between him and Joe Dirt. What a fantastic comeback for Joe Dirt last week. Really was an exciting feature race. And this will be pretty good to watch, I think. Nikita leads your championship standings right now with 263 points. Joe Dirt trailing behind with 250. Ian McClure sitting in third with 223 points. The top three pretty well spread out, but one bad night is enough to shuffle up the top three steps of the championship standings. Ian Arnold, 174 points in P4. Ben Grabo in P5 with 172 points. Very close between those two. 161 points will be Tactical Nuclear Pingu, who will not make it tonight. Unfortunate to hear. Obscure Hi-Fi is 156 in P7. CB is sitting in P8 with 143 points. Spiky Cactus in P9 with 136 points. And Aaron C.J. Mills, who I still don't know who that is on course, but that is 134 points in 10th. The rest of the field skimming through there. That's your top 10, though, in the Driver Championship. However, Team Ian, which is, where's good old, we interviewed him last week. I don't see Ian Arnold on here tonight. Did he not make it? Is he unavailable? Oh, that's tragic if it is. If that's true, very tragic. But I sure don't see him. I guess we'll go to the next Ian on the list, Heel Toe Hero. Team Ian leads the championship standings with 381 points. And Grip DLL trailing just behind with 374 points. Now, folks, you might be wondering how, with such a dominant performance last week, did they lose so much ground? Well, I will tell you. Drop rounds have been introduced now that we have completed the 5th round of the championship. The drop round is effective, and that closed that gap significantly to the drivers on the front team. Straw Hats, consisting of Joe Dirt and Captain Ahab, sitting in third with 329 points. CBBG in fourth with 305 points. Qualified Immunity in fifth with 243 points. So that is the top 5. Something Obscure in 6th with 230 points, and trailing just behind them is Podium Merchants in 7th with 229 points. The rest of the fields are pretty well broken up, but we are fixing to have a great event on our hands tonight. We'll ride on board with Nikita for a track lap here at Indianapolis. Hard on the brakes through the right-hand turn 1. Very smooth throttle application into turn 2 and 3. 3 is kind of a weird opening radius corner that dumps into a very odd 4th turn. Hard on the throttle, trying to put as much power to the ground there as you get through the 5 and 6 chicane. Down the Holman straight. Late on the brakes into turn 7. This is a very tricky complex starting right about here. Turn 7 begins this snaking motion through the infield. You know, we're weaving through 8 and 9. This turn 10 here, and you just can't really, you get off in any position there, and it just sets the whole complex of corners off, and you lose buckets of time. Hard on the brakes into turn 10. A very tricky corner here. And a short shoot down into 11, or I'm sorry, this is 13, missed 11. And through turn 14, back out onto the front straightaway. That is the lap here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway's road course. A good lap there at a 27.959. But folks, Nikita not leading the times right now. It's Joe Dirt. And folks, I can't hear him because I have turned my audio down once again. No, I did not. He's just that quiet. All right, then. For real. Hoping to improve a little. Lap over lap. No time gained, though, for the number... Is it 6 machine? 6. Number 6. $20 cars on the field tonight. Not 21. Should make for a very busy racetrack when we get to going green. Nikita doing everything he can to keep the car smooth. Very smooth on the entry to turn 12 there. Soupy in the grass back behind. Nice lap for Nikita, but folks, Heel Toe Hero just put down a flyer. He spins through turn 4. Managed to lay down a 27.6. Over a 10th faster than Joe Dirt in P2. Who I believe is still currently on his outlap. All right, can you all hear me? I think you can hear me. Not sure what happened there. Don't think that was weather related. That just it fucking died. Not sure that's been happening somewhat more recently. Hopefully it's just fluke. That's what I hope. I'm going to try to get back in here before qualifying starts. It wouldn't be an AMS2 night if there weren't technical difficulties, folks. That's what I always say. I have to get back into the lobby before I flip back to the live screen, so bear with me here. They are still in practice, which is good. Oh, shit. Okay, there we go. Can I not? Well, this might be the end of the stream, folks. I can't get back in. I don't know if they have join in progress disabled. I don't even know if you can disable join in progress, but they're in qualifying now, so I'm going to miss qualifying, which really freaking sucks. Wonder if that's why I couldn't join, because they were qualifying, or the session was switching. Yeah, that's probably what it was, because it just let me join there. Okay. Well, sorry we're going to miss qualifying, folks. I can't really do anything about that. I think we just happened to get in the session transition period, and there was no chance for me to get in there, so be it. We'll do the best to cover where we can. Cannot tell who is up in front. It looks like Heel Toe Hero leading the group right now. And I don't know if this is an out lap. Judging by the time, this is probably an out lap. Working on getting the car up to temp. Ian McClure trying to be the sole Ian on the field tonight. Bring home the best result he can as he crosses the line to begin his first flying lap. Hard on the brakes through turn one there. Such a challenging corner to get down to speed. You know, it comes up so quick, and especially in these cars, it's very challenging because you see a little bit of oversteer there, and then around he goes. Heel Toe Hero spins on the Holman straight coming out of turn 6. Frustrating for the superstar that is Ian McClure of Team Ian. Such a fantastic field so far, or season so far. Having a great season, and we hate to see any sort of issues fall the way of a driver. Captain Ahab, I believe, was the next driver in line. Soupy actually might be the next driver to put a lap down. Here in the Choco Chompies machine. Choco Chompies, the Choco-filled thrill. Soupy coming down through the final complex of corners here. Through 13 on the approach to 14 as the times do start to tumble in at the top of the board. Nikita with a 26-1. It is quick. And Soupy with no time posted. I gotta see who's yet left to post a time. Chill Blast, Something Fierce. Orange Hat 44 will cross the line. No time posted for Orange Hat. Something Fierce is the next to cross, and no time posted for Something Fierce. Can For Real get something posted? He does. A 34-174, good for 14th right now in the qualifying order, but we're about to see another series of cars cross the line. Rigatoni looking to try and put down a good time. A little bit of a wiggle coming through turn 12. And out into the grass on the exit of 13. Be a costly error indeed. The number 53, Jesse's Machine. We jump now to Dave Coors, who will be crossing the line any moment now. Can he gain some time? No time gained. Ben Grabo to cross the line. Half a second gain for Ben Grabo. Good for P3 right now. Spiky Cactus crossing the line. No time gained for Cactus. This will be the penultimate or the ultimate lap for everybody. Joe Dirt, can he cross the line and beat his championship rival? He does to the pole with a 25.818. Absolutely rapid drive, but we are not done. Waylon Craze, can he post a decent lap in qualifying? It's good for P11, 29.271. Great qualifying effort from Waylon Craze. We missed him last week at Cleveland. Chill Blast manages to improve with a 28.638. That leaves For Real, and a handful of other drivers out on field. I do believe Ben Grabo gets one more attempt. For Real is going to cross the line. He gains a little, 32.238, good for 16th place in the running order. And Ben Grabo, he's currently up 0.03 of a second. But he decides to abort the run and return to pit lane. Acceptable loss, driving for Grip DLL. Currently sitting in the top 10 here in qualifying, hoping to improve that, maybe to a top 5. He's got some time to gain, but there's time on the table. As you can see, the pace setter's pretty fast. And it was enough for 6th. Almost into the top 5 with a 27.891 for acceptable loss. Very excited to see how this race starts. And as usual, I will not be readying up. Damn dog keeps licking his bed for no reason at all. And it's massively annoying. Yeah, I'm talking about you, bub. Talking about you. All right, folks, strap in. Get ready. This is going to be pretty lengthy competition. 50 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Your average pace was right around a minute 28. That's 88 seconds. By 50 laps. About an hour and 13 minutes, not including your stage break pace. And here we go. Pardon me while I get the camera somewhere cool. Team Ian with a less than stellar qualifying effort tonight, leading the team championship by a pretty wide margin, but not getting it done. In qualifying tonight. Going to be a difficult bounce back. You know, with that drop round added, the points deficit did decrease between the two teams. That is going to make tonight's event crucial for decent results, as there's only going to be one driver on the grid tonight putting down points. And the team that's nipping at their heels is Grip DLL, which includes championship leader Nikita and P6 of acceptable loss. But folks, Joe Dirt with the fastest lap in qualifying, starting on the pole this evening. And what a treat this race start should be. Coming through the final complex of corners here. Drivers are going to start to grid up. Oh, fuck. Shit. We are going to go to the front straight to watch the cars come to the green. They're stacked up 2 by 2. And we are green flag racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 4 wide in the middle of the pack. Dives from all over the field as we shoot into turn 1. Nikita with a great lunge on the inside of Joe Dirt, and that is for position P1 up to Nikita. Joe Dirt trailing just behind, and the field stacking up behind the rest of them. Side by side through turn 4 is Joe Dirt on the inside. He's going to go down the short chute, but not going to make the attempt through the S's and down to the home and straight. These two duked it out with aggression. Last week we got some cars off in the back, just a little bit of an off. On the inside, on the entry to turn 7, a bold pass, but a beautiful move, and that is P1 back to Joe Dirt, and now Ben Grabo nipping at the heels of Nikita, but a check. There's a brake check there. I don't know what happened, but Joe Dirt slammed the brakes. And now Nikita back to the lead. Ben Grabo suffering some damage there, and Joe Dirt plummeting back down to 9th place, 10th now, getting passed by once again. He's passing back Soupy. Merchant up to 8th, capitalizing on the incident, and Ben Grabo now trying to chase down Nikita, but we cannot deny the visual damage to the front of that car. Definitely going to be affecting the handling through some of these S's. CB sitting in P3 for CBBG. Great team effort tonight in qualifying and so far in the race. Folks, you have to wonder if Joe was handed an in-game stewarding penalty, maybe to yield the position back. I'm genuinely not sure why he would have mashed the brakes for any reason beyond that. Definitely an unfortunate turn of events, though. Looked like he had a great play there, or a great run at the lead. Be interesting to see how this battle pans out. Second place Merchant starting to find a bit of a groove here at Indianapolis. And now facing some pressure from your race pole sitter. Part of me wonders if that inside lane there in turn 7, you just go a little bit too far over the curbs and the game flags it as off the limit of the track. Maybe that is what net the incident at the beginning of this competition. But folks, 3 laps in, approaching lap 4. Second place Merchant making a pretty great climb through the field thus far. Waylon Crace in pit lane. I'm not sure if that is for damage. He looks to be stopped, so damage would be my assumption. And Waylon Crace has left the session. That is a retirement. First retirement of the night, unfortunately, on lap 4. An attempt possibly from Joe Dirt on the inside of turn 1, but it's not going to happen. Second place Merchant now hot on the heels of Dave Coors up into P6. Something fierce. Or is it looks like acceptable loss? Maybe there is. Yeah, acceptable loss seems to have had an off. Granting another place back to second place Merchant, but Joe Dirt trying to pass on the inside over the curbs through turn 6. Down the Holman straight. Here comes another move from Joe Dirt, your race pole sitter. Jumping into the slipstream there of Dave Coors up ahead, but he's going to get picked. And that is going to open the door for second place Merchant to make a move. Back up into 5th, but he gets off into the grass. That's going to be a costly loss. Back down to 7th for second place Merchant. Likely a time penalty there for track limits. Joe Dirt now charging up on Dave C., who has worked his way up to 5th just by staying clean. Joe Dirt has buckets of pace tonight, folks, and he is just now finding an opportunity to stretch his legs and use it. This is not somebody that you want in your mirrors. That number 95 Valley Mart machine made a huge comeback last week, and it's looking to try and make another attempt this evening. Showing great pace, especially in these straights. Much more bold on the brakes. And second place Merchant with a very late break deep into turn 1, and that's going to throw, I believe that was Chill Blast off, and in the background now, second place Merchant falls back down even further. P11, and might be even facing pressure from P12 of Alex back in the background. Joe Dirt, though, still chasing down Dave Coors, has not broke back into the top 5, but looking to try and make the move. The Holman Straight seems to be a very bold place for him to make his pass. Big puff of smoke there from a lockup, and the number 88 machine, and the 88 machine goes around. Dave Coors is around on the exit of turn 7, and that gives another position back to Joe Dirt, who is now chasing down Spiky Cactus just 4 seconds ahead on the field. Ninja Rigatoni has left the session. Orange Hat's left the session. 3 retirements now, 5 laps in, folks. Soupy facing a little bit of pressure from behind in Levy. But he's not going to crack. Focused forward. We ride on board with the number 60 Zero Edge machine of second place Merchant. Bold and late on the brakes is the Merchant, but it's not going to be enough. Little bit of an airlift there on that rear right quarter. Now putting Alex on the, and Levy's now on the offensive, on the defensive, not able to put as much pressure on Soupy as he'd like, as Merchant trying to work his way back through the field. Facing pressure now from Alex behind, but late on the brakes into turn 7. beautiful maneuver from the number 60 of second place Merchant. Fantastic lunge down into 7, and that is good for a place. Might have even been 2. No, it was just 1. Soupy's still up ahead of him in P7. And folks, Spiky Cactus now only 2 seconds ahead of your race leader, 2.5 seconds, or your pole sitter. Joe Dirt is coming. It's like a little bit of a wide run there from the number 99 lock-on machine of N. Levy on the exit of 12. Or 13, I apologize. Great hit of steam coming down into turn 1. Not going to have the same confidence on the brakes that second place Merchant did just 1 lap ago. And folks, I think that's the key to success here is confidence in the car. Indy is so fast, but also very technical. You've got to have a lot of confidence, not just in your brake pedal, but in the balance of the car, as you see now. And Levy side by side with second place Merchant on the inside line. That's where you want to be on the approach to turn 7, and he's going to get it done, trapping second place Merchant up on the wide line, but he spins, and Levy is around. Too much curb and lifted the car off the ground, upset the balance. And that gives the position back to second place Merchant, who will continue to try to chase down Soupy. Folks, Joe Dirt chasing down P4 of Spiky Cactus. You can see him in the frame now. He is on a tear. Folks, this midfield pack is starting to stand on top of each other. Captain Ahab, Dave C., and Levy. Even a little bit of chill blast back here. A couple cars back. All these guys very close, just looking to try to make a maneuver. Puff of smoke there. I believe this is... This is not in Levy. This is Captain Ahab. Locked up on the approach to turn 1. Do have a local yellow in turn 11. 12. Turn 12. And now the pressure is real for Spiky Cactus. Pole sitter Joe Dirt right on the bumper. Of the number 80 budget tire machine. Little bit of a nudge there, making sure he knows he's around. And Valley Mart would like to ride on board with their pole-sitting driver, Valley Mart. From our valley to your home. Not quite in the window yet to make anything happen. Gap's starting to ebb and flow a little bit. I do believe that is for real up ahead. 1 lap down now. Trying to make anything happen here that he can. Making sure to nose in every opportunity he gets. Definitely making sure Cactus knows that he is there. For real, allowing everybody through as to not impede the race leaders. Brilliant run out of turn 14 and hot on the heels once again of Spiky Cactus. Still thinking better of the move, opting not to take the attack just yet. Oh, big lockup from Spiky Cactus in turn 4, and that's going to open the door there for Joe Dirt to get through back up into P4, and now no pressure ahead. He is going to start charging to Flavio Barros of CBBG just up ahead. And wasting no time getting up into the slipstream of the Vital Rush machine in front. Crosshairs set on the bottom step of the podium. Joe Dirt trying to charge his way forward and through. How much of a fight does Flavio put up? Tight on entry is Joe Dirt. Wide on exit is Joe Dirt. Fast to the throttle, late to the brake. Can he make it back into the podium spots? I think we're going to see a move this time by on the entry to turn 1 as he's now side by side. Definitely hit the brakes there. CB definitely hit the brakes a little early. I think got a little spooked by the number 95 there beside. But now, folks, Joe Dirt is back in the top 10 or the top 3 and will be chasing down the other drivers on the podium. However, there will certainly be some time before he gets there. He has to close a 9 or 10 second gap. Oh, I apologize. 6 or 7 second gap. My apologies, I can't do math. To get to Ben Grabo, who is losing ground on your race leader, Nikita, might I add. Folks, the racing isn't over. Heel Toe Heroes now wanting a bite of the action to try to crack into the top 5. Be a great recovery from a poor qualifying attempt from Team Ian. Once again, only driver tonight for Team Ian, so really trying to stack the chips in his favor and keep the championship lead in the team standings. And he's really working over that number 80 machine. Trying to make something stick, trying to make something land. Nice wide exit of 14. Switches back to the inside. This is where you want to be on the entry to turn 1. It really traps your opponent up on the high lane. Just depends on how late you can be and how bold you can be on the brakes. And it seems like Ian maybe not thinking he could be as late as he wanted to be. Big puff of smoke there from Spiky Cactus means he locked up a little bit on the entry of turn 1. Just has to keep his head down and not make any mistakes like he did 2 or 3 laps ago when second place Merchant got passed. But Ian McClure is definitely in the fight for the top 5. The question is, can he get there? Spiky Cactus putting up a great defense. But is it going to be enough to hold off one of the most consistent teams in the series? Interesting post-race interview with a lot of our, or for all of our podium finishers last week, and Ian Arnold talked about, we've always speculated here on the broadcast about whether or not some of these guys are sharing setups and information, and Ian Arnold kind of inclined that these guys don't really do a whole lot of setup sharing. One of them likes the car a lot more loose and pointy, and the other one wants it to be a little more planted and smooth. And so they both build cars that suit their driving styles and share, whatever information they feel pertinent. And maybe that's what it takes, folks, to have an absolute award-winning team because these guys are the most consistent on the grid, in my opinion, as we now start to fan out down the Holman Straight. Almost 3 wide there for a minute. Cactus trying to get around CB. And Heel Toe Hero lingering right there. Spiky Cactus goes around. Another costly mistake from the number 80 budget tire machine. This is, folks, what you don't want to see happen here at a track like this. Heel Toe Hero now will be chasing down Flavio Barros for P4. And Joe Dirt still continuing to try and close the gap down on P2. Sitting right at about 5 seconds. Side by side down the front straightaway with CB. Does he bail out of this pass as well and yield the position? He kind of blipped the brakes when Joe Dirt attempted the pass, and this time just couldn't make it stick on the defense. You saw him fade to that inside line on the exit of turn 14, but it wasn't enough to hold off Heel Toe Hero, who is now charging forward for the podium. Alex chasing down Acceptable Loss of Grip DLL up ahead. Big puff of smoke from Acceptable Loss into turn 1. Folks, it cannot be overstated how difficult turn 1 is. Like, well and truly difficult. Is now Acceptable Loss spins off and into the gravel. That is another place gained, and Dave C will sweep through as well. Captain Ahab up and past Acceptable Loss, down in 12th now. And folks, Nikita commanding the field, but courtesy of Kanzen Performance, we are going to do an onboard lap and track the fuel mileage. Listen to the throttle control there, folks. Two and a half liters per lap. So drivers will definitely have to stop for fuel, but will not have to fill the tank on the next stop. Folks, Joe Dirt is now within 2 seconds or less of Ben Grabo. And continuing to close the gap. Just in the back of the frame there is Heel Toe Hero and CB, the rest of your top 5. And things are going to start to get interesting here in the next few laps. as this battle begins to unfold. Alex seeming to have lost another position. Back to acceptable loss of grip DLL. The number 99 lock-on machine trying to recover. 7 or so tenths separate P2 and P3 at this point. Quite a big spread in the field now, folks. 34 laps remaining. Still plenty of racing to go. Deep on the brakes. Such a challenging final sector here at Indy. The gap continues to close. Turn 1 is a challenge in these cars. But the drivers continue with their heads down in their attempt. Ben Grabo facing the pressure from the pole sitter now. Folks, this is pretty crucial. And tonight I do think pit strategy is going to be very important. You know, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway pit lane is very long, especially at pit speed. It feels like you're there for a century. It's a costly amount of time. So these guys are going to want to try to shorten their stop however they can. And I would imagine tonight might be a night that you see less people pit before the stage break unless they have to. I imagine most people are going to try to pit during the stage break. And if it were me, maybe I'd be saving a little fuel to try to short fill and shorten my stop during the stage break and gain that extra edge on my competition. You know, all it takes sometimes is a tenth, 2 tenths in pit lane to get you a position or to lose you 2. So will certainly be interesting to see as he now makes a lunge on the inside of turn 7. Late on the brakes. A lot of curb, though. He's going side by side through the S's. Looks to have the pass complete, but Ben Grabo's still right there on his heels, not giving up the spot just yet. And, folks, if I'm Ben Grabo, I'm maybe leaving a little bit of space because this is the guy that I ended up nosing the back of earlier because of the unexpected brake application. But Joe Dirt back up to P2, and now the 13.3 second gap we are going to watch to see if it closes down at all. But the good news, the field will be stacking up in the next 5 laps. So if I'm Joe Dirt, let Nikita get ahead. Let him claim the stage points. I'm going to lay back. I'm going to save some fuel. I'm just going to coast and cruise and do what I need to do to get to the end of the stage in one piece with more fuel than everybody else. Then when you stop, you are only stopping for the amount of fuel you need, and it will be less than the folks around you. I mean, there not enough can be said for Nikita. The pace that this driver has is well and truly unreal. Week after week, he comes out here and shows everybody that you can, in fact, do quali laps while racing. Ironically enough, though, folks, the best lap of the race belongs to Joe Dirt. We'll be looking if anybody is planning on trying to stop before the stage break. We'll be looking for that to happen in the next few laps. Field spreading out just a little bit. AFC trying to chase down Soupy here. These two once again. I'm sorry, it's not these two. It's Acceptable Loss and Captain Ahab. Apologize, I was getting Captain Ahab mixed with Alex. But Acceptable Loss kind of ebbing and flowing tonight in the standings. Not sure if he's just having a mistake-ridden race or not real comfortable in this car and or track. But again, it's very balance-oriented. The car in general, but especially this track, if you've got a car that doesn't feel good to drive, it's going to be very hard to get around here quickly. And it very well could be what Acceptable Loss is finding right now, is finding that limit in the car is not an easy task. Big lunge into turn 7, beautifully done though, and that is a position back for Acceptable Loss, cracking into the top 10. And now trying to defend that 10th place from Captain Ahab behind. You can see everybody's a little reserved using the curbs here on the exit of 13. They don't want to clip that grass. All it takes is the wrong amount of grass and suddenly you're pointed the wrong way. Hard on the brakes into turn 1. But Captain Ahab was right there ready to pounce. Didn't seem to make it stick. He is waiting for the opportunity for sure. Wants to try to get that position back. It's the gap slowly dwindling to Dave C ahead. But will it be enough? Folks, the stage break coming up quick. If drivers will be making pits, it will start soon. I'm looking at the pits close lap 25. So you must pit by the end of lap 24. Excuse me. Final pit lap for the lead lap cars. Let's just ride on board once again with Nikita, courtesy of Kansan Performance. Have a nice listen to that throttle application. You just hear how smooth we're rolling into the throttle. And Nikita opts to pit before the break. Joe Dirt will take the stage points instead. Your pole sitter, if all things continue as they are, will be your Stage 1 winner. Nikita continuing to lose ground to the cars ahead. Joe Dirt to cross the line, concluding lap 25, will, at least sure looks like he will be your Stage 1 winner. And that is Stage 1 complete for Joe Dirt. He will be your winner of Stage 1. And the safety car is still not moving. Nikita coming out P6 after pit cycles. Local yellow. I believe that's Joe Dirt, maybe taking too much curb. And now, safety car is moving. Not sure who the safety car will begin moving for. You would presume it's the race leader. As people file in behind the Chevrolet Camaro safety car. Folks, I apologize. The energy's been a little low. I am absolutely whooped. I am super tired. And it is starting to catch up with me. That's okay, because we are about to have a huge round of adrenaline on our hands as the restart grows closer. We're very likely to have a very busy pit road, folks. I only think we saw one car opt to pit before the end of the stage, maybe two. So I definitely expect to see a lot of drivers box this lap. I know you're going to see Joe Dirt, Heel Toe Hero, Ben Grabo, CB, Spiky Cactus. Really, everybody in the top 5 is going to come in, and Nikita will filter back to the top. I apologize. I went way too far out of the track. But now drivers will be filtering down pit road. Joe Dirt, nice stop there for the number 95. And he is off and away. Competition stopped further up. Ian McClure is off and away. Ben Grabo just behind. And what an interesting turn of events, folks. Spiky Cactus has not pit yet. I'm not sure if pits were closed for Cactus. On that lap. But this is interesting. Alex and Sturhaus still on pit lane. Now, folks, remember, there is going to be a manual yellow lap at the end of the safety car period. Spiky is going to have to pit. My guess is it was AMS2 doing AMS2 things, and yeah, there he goes, following the pace car into pit lane. Nikita also following the pace car into pit lane. A couple drivers following the pace car into pit lane. No, that was not Nikita. I apologize. That was Levy. Nikita is currently leading the field. This is going to give our lap down cars an opportunity to get past the field. And reconnect at the back of the grid. I believe the only two drivers that really need the wave around are P14 of Something Fierce and P15 of N Levy. N Levy's going to have a challenge getting around these guys. He kind of got the short end of the stick there on the pit cycle, but I think he's just going to fall in line, not knowing he is actually, in fact, allowed to get around these guys. Guess figuring it's just not worth the risk. But folks, we are fixing to go green again here at Indianapolis. Nikita, Joe Dirt, ready to fight it out again into turn one, just as they did 28 laps ago. Who comes out victorious this time? They've already fanned out in the back of the field, but Nikita has a great lunge. Ben Grabo is going to go side by side with Ian McClure down into turn one. Nikita with a huge lead, and Ben Grabo surges back up into P3, gets on the outside of Joe Dirt, not going to get it done, and that's going to trap him, and that's going to put him in position for, Ian McClure going to be in position to reclaim that position, but not going to happen. Now second place Merchant working his way back up into fifth, just on strategy and pace, and he is right there with the top five. The rest of the top five, we're going to try to get something done. Joe Dirt already losing ground to Nikita ahead. His car is bobbing and weaving, swerving back behind, trying to find something. His acceptable loss with a huge lunge into turn 7 is going to get around Soupy for P7 and continue the charge forward. Second place Merchant chasing down Heel Toe Hero, who is chasing down Ben Grabo. And Grabo not able to put the pressure down on Joe Dirt that he would like, because he is facing so much pressure from McClure behind. And Joe Dirt half a second now behind Nikita. But Nikita continuing to open that gap lap over lap. Half a second now. And second place Merchant spins on the front straightaway. I cannot believe we missed it. We ride on board the rocket corn machine. Truly heartbreaking for second place Merchant. Had a great recovery drive there. Was back in the top 5. And that will be a costly mistake. McClure right there. Patience. You can see he's waiting. Doesn't want to rush the gun. Doing a good job of just maintaining the position. Doing what it takes. Really giving him all of the pressure he can. Getting a little bit checked up there on the exit of 13. Do we see the move on the entry to 1? I don't think the momentum's there. He's very early on the brakes. But he's right there on the exit of turn 3. Doing a great job, really just putting the pressure on. Trying to force a mistake from Ben Grabo, but Nikita driving away from the field as usual, folks. The battle seems to be for the final step of the podium. Ian McClure, got to applaud the drive here from Ian with a great recovery from, quite frankly, an out-of-character qualifying session for Team Ian. Not where he wanted to be in qualifying. But still managing to do some great work tonight on track. You know, just not making too many mistakes, not doing anything too bold, too creative. And I think that's paid off in dividends as he's fighting for the bottom step of the podium. And it looks like he might get the opportunity to go down the inside this time by. He's going to probably pop out here on the run down into turn one, late and aggressive on the brakes. He's not going to get it done on the entry to one, but he does get it done on the exit, trapping Ben Grabo up high. And that is P3 secured for the Rocket Corn machine as he starts to try to chase down P2 of Joe Dirt. Dave C. facing a lot of pressure from Spiky Cactus and Ahab behind. Number 88 Wings machine. Good top 10 day for Dave C. Each week out, getting a little bit better with this car, finding a little bit more of a groove. And doing what he can to try and maximize each week. What a good looking car too. Gotta admit, that livery stands out. I adore that livery. Also, I just realized, folks, if you've been chatting with me on YouTube, I have not seen it. Apologies, folks. I have had the YouTube chat flipped off. I can see it now. But I do very much like that blue and white machine. A little bit of a lockup there. You saw a puff of smoke come out of Spiky Cactus there behind as this mid-pack field starts to spread out a little bit. CB chasing down BG. Both drivers for CBBG currently sitting 4th and 5th. Great team effort from these guys tonight. Got two cars in the top 5. And had a legitimate shot at the podium. Still do. Provided there's some mistakes. I just don't think either of these guys have the pace to match the guys that are in the top of the field right now. Those guys are doing some pretty quick laps. You know, last lap, Ian McClure I'm sorry. I don't know what these deltas are. But currently setting the pace is Nikita with a 26.426. And Joe Dirt trailing behind with a 26.763. Hence why he has fallen 2.6 seconds off of the race leader by this juncture. Nikita driving away from the field in fashion only Nikita can accomplish. Dave C. seems to have had an incident and gone off track, losing some positions. Captain Ahab, Yummy Soupy, Spiky Cactus all getting around. And CB right there behind his teammate. You have to imagine these guys are probably going to be playing it somewhat safe, racing each other. but both drivers still want the driver championship points, not just the team championship. Could present a very interesting dynamic if CB gets into striking distance of Ben Grabo. What will we see? Little bit quiet on the racetrack at the moment. Folks are starting to spread out. We've had quite a bit of an attrition rate tonight, folks. Started the evening with 20 cars, and we're down to 14. 6 retirements. It is one of the highest I believe I've seen all season. I'm unsure for that reason. Not sure if it's related to the track or the track conditions or the distance or who knows. Definitely a very high attrition rate this evening. Sorry, I'm looking at all my telemetry here. Folks, how about a round of applause for Nikita? I mean, I feel like we don't talk about the guy that leads the race enough because it's usually Nikita and he's usually leading by, 8, 9, 12, 14 seconds. But the level of consistency that you have to find, not just in the track, but in the car, is incredible. Nikita has been able to come out here and fire off consistently laps in the 26s and be perfectly content pushing that amount and not hitting the wall. That is a driver that is in the zone and focused. And definitely a characteristic of somebody that you would expect to be leading the Drivers' Championship right now. Perfect strategy call at the end of the stage, pitting before the stage points. Obviously, he did not get the stage win, but it situated him very nicely. Tires were up to temp. A little bit lighter on the fuel load when we come to the green flag. And he managed to get himself back up to the front when the cars ahead of him pit. So at the end of the day, lighter fuel load, warm tires, and you're starting the second stage in the lead. Brilliant strategy call from Nikita. The top 5 all decided to stay out and wait. And I think that just furthered his chances of driving away with the victory. Joe Dirt, you see him pop into frame there, and Ian McClure just behind. I mean, can't hold a candle to the pace of this guy. CB and Ben Grabo still very close together on track. I see there's still damage on Ben's vehicle. Not sure if that car sustained actual damage or if it's just visual, but it is worth noting that that is still there from the lap 1 incident earlier in the competition. Folks, we are winding the race down a little bit. 13 laps to go. Be interesting for battles like this if you start to see drivers get a little impatient. There's a lot of short shifting there. You can tell there was a lot more that gearbox had in it. Folks might be short shifting into 14 so that they do not spin on the exit. Second place Merchant was one of the retirements I see now. Very unfortunate. For Merchant, we enjoyed seeing him lead the field. Or not lead the field, but he was up in the top 5 for a good long while. And folks, Joe Dirt's chiseling this gap down. It is sub 5 seconds again. And it's back north of 5. Whoa, we're I don't know. Let's take a look at the times. Folks, I don't know. I want to see where the sector times line up here for Nikita and Joe Dirt. Nikita, Sector 1 of 25.706. Sector 2, 25.811. So about a 10th lost there to Nikita for your P2 driver. But he's finding some ground somewhere, and I want to find out where that is. Nikita will clock Sector 2 at a 29.571. Joe Dirt at 29.711. Starting to allow the door to open a little bit. That's 3/10 so far this lap that he has lost to the race leader. Yeah, 2.5 tenths. We'll call it 2.5 tenths. Nikita will cross the line, clocking Sector 3 at a 31.539 and a 31.596. Both drivers very close together in Sector 3. But Nikita just banging out qualifying lap after qualifying lap. And I'm not sure, does this tell me the last lap time? Yes, it does. Last lap was a 26.817 versus a 26 or a 27.119. So there's your 2/10 right there. Lost to your race leader. Bear with me. Okay. Sorry. Responding to a text from my wife. Nikita's just cruising at this point. 2nd and a 10th off his best time. You gather he's just trying to keep the car put together. Ben Grabo has lost the position to CB. I apologize, we missed that pass. With 9 laps left in competition. That is huge. We've had another retirement. Ninja Rigatoni. Very unfortunate. Well, now hang on. He's been out for a while. Who just left? Ben Grabo left. What has happened to Ben Grabo, who is having a stellar race? That is heartbreaking. have to race to the chat to see if anything has happened. I'm not seeing anything in the Can-Am SimSport Discord at the moment, but I don't know if that is a retirement. He's still in the session. That's his car right there, P14, in pit lane. Oh, man, that is just absolutely devastating, folks. Man, you hate to see somebody's race end that way, whether it be intentional or not. This, especially this late into the event, you know, just getting all that way through and watching it unfold, just heartbreaking, man. Hate to see that. Ian McClure doing a great job for Team Ian tonight, being the only driver for the team on the field. Doing a good job of making the most of it. Currently sitting P3 for the bottom step of the podium. And that's what we kind of want to see from a team like Team Ian. You know, very consistent, very smooth each week. They maximize every single round. And you know, that's a team that is, that's what you expect out of a team that's competing to win the team's championship, is consistent results. And these guys, very consistent, very predictable. You know, you can always count on them running at least one car in the top 5, usually both cars in the top 10, but lately it's been 2 cars in the top 5. And with one driver out there tonight, you would have assumed with the qualifying effort that maybe this was not Ian's track. But here he sits, rebounding great. The other reason I'm bummed that Ben retired is he and CB were kind of close on track. I guess Spiky Cactus is chasing down acceptable loss. We can see if the number 80 budget tire machine can get it done. Would love to see a shootout on the last few laps. Folks, this is round 6 of our 8-round calendar. Only got 2 rounds left. Hard to believe that we've had race after race of showdowns for 6 weeks in a row now. Not sure I want the Roadmaster Series to come to a close. But I'm also not driving these cars, and I feel like 8 weeks behind the wheel of these cars might be enough to make me wish to drive something else. This appears, folks, to be the closest battle on track. 7 cars retired from tonight's race. 7 cars. Absolutely insane. That's almost half the field. The gap continuing to work its way down between acceptable loss and Spiky Cactus, but it is a slow burning wick doing what he can. I think Acceptable Loss is a little bit better on the exit of the corner, but Spiky is much better, I think, on corner entry. A lot braver on the brakes. Big puff of smoke. We speak about being braver on the brakes. Sometimes that's there to bite, and it did bite back for Spiky Cactus there. That opened up about almost second and 2/10. Managed to recover it kind of nicely there. That's going to be a little bit more work to catch back up to Acceptable Loss ahead for P5. So right on board the number 80 Budget Tire machine, courtesy of Budget Tire. Drive more, spend less. Budget Tire. Local yellow in turn 13. And Levy off into the grass. Definitely be getting back up to speed when these guys come around. A little bit wide on the entry to turn 13 there from Spiky Cactus. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. There's a monster short shift there. Listen to the throttle control. He is trying his best to gain ground back on Acceptable Loss. 4 laps of competition remain. Can he get the final spot in the top 5? And folks, you want to talk about maximizing days with points? This guy right here is moving mountains. We don't talk a whole lot about Acceptable Loss. Usually his teammate is in the headlines, Nikita. But folks, these guys with the drop round are only a few points behind. Now, keeping in mind that with one car on Team Ian, this will likely become a drop round for them. But these guys absolutely doing everything they can to maximize the week where their biggest championship opponent in the team's championship is going to be handicapped. 2 cars in the top 5 is huge. Making the best of an unfortunate situation for their championship rivals. Definitely a good drive today from Acceptable Loss. Kind of up and down all night through the leaderboard, but finding himself back up into 5th and pretty comfortable. Starting to face a little bit of pressure from Spiky Cactus behind, but keeping his head straight. Blinders on, trying to force Cactus to make the mistake. Trying to make that number 80 get a little bit impatient and make a snap move that costs him some time. And this will be the white flag going around, but now Spiky Cactus is going to be side by side through turn 13. There's a big brake lock going into turn 11 or 12, and now a little bit of door bang in there, and that is going to be the spot yielded, I believe, but we're not done. This might be a final lap shootout between Spiky Cactus and Acceptable Loss for Grip DLL. Spiky Cactus trying to nose in, late on the brakes into turn 1. Not going to get it. Big lock up, but he keeps it pointed the right way. It's not going to cost him too much, but it is going to cost him time. Can he get it now through turn 3? Trying to put every piece of the puzzle together to make the perfect lap and get the pass. all the horsepower these cars have on offer and on tap, trying to put it to the pavement. Acceptable loss, showing a rare moment of mistake. Went under the pressure, and now Spiky Cactus trying to chase down acceptable loss. Nikita is your race winner. Joe Dirt will pass the start-finish line in P2 and Heel Toe Hero for P3, but this right here is the final spot in the top 5. Spiky Cactus really trying to work over acceptable loss, but I don't think he's going to have the time. Loss is far stronger in the corner exit, I think, than Cactus. But Cactus has a great run coming out of turn 14. He's going to put the hammer down, but he spins on the exit of 14 and is into the wall, and that is going to be the battle done. Acceptable loss comes home P5. Spiky Cactus will make the recovery and take P6. Captain Ahab P7. Soupy currently poised to take P8. Dave C. coming around turn 14 for P9. Top 10 once again for Dave Coors and the number 88 Wings machine. Your race winner crosses the line. Oh, I apologize. The race is not over. Oops. I got so excited over not the last lap. That's even more upsetting for Spiky Cactus because he could have done it if he hadn't spun. As the burnouts begin for Nikita, Joe Dirt will be P3. CB coming out of turn 4, or turn 14 for P4. Acceptable loss will round out the top 5. Fighting for his life one lap ago and manages to secure that P5. With Spiky Cactus spinning on the final corner on the attack. Makes you wonder if Cactus thought the last lap was the last lap. Captain Ahab P7. Soupy will be coming through the final sector here for P8. Choco Chompy's number 26 machine brings it home for P8 today for qualified immunity. Only car on the grid for that team tonight. And Dave Coors will cross the line in the Wings number 88 for P9. Folks, that was a great race. Always fun to see a great battle there at the end. And let me see if anybody's wanting a post-race interview. Bear with me here one moment. Joe Dirt and Nikita have both confirmed they will do an interview, so I'll jump into the broadcast booth and we'll get this underway. The freaking channel keeps moving. All right, I guess we'll start with you because you are our race leader. Nikita, our race winner. Man, I don't know how you managed to thread together the level of consistency and pace that you do week in and week out, but that was a flawless race from the drop of the green to the checkers.
Sorry, let me take my headset off real quick.
Oh.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I mean, is Indy a track you just seem to excel at personally, or is this like an unexpected result? Because for a moment there, I thought at the beginning of the race you might have a little bit of competition from Joe Dirt, but it ended up being, your race the whole evening.
I can honestly say that's the first time I can recall actually having a good finish at Indy. It's usually I have some kind of incident and it just goes horribly, but yeah, today was pretty smooth.
Yeah, I was impressed. What was the thought process deciding to undercut the stage break? Because I'll tell you from the booth, I wasn't sure that was going to be the play. Indy's pit lane is so long that you lose so much time on track, and I figured drivers would be apprehensive to take that loss on track and rather take the stage points and pit with everybody else at the break. But you were the only driver in the top, not 10, if not the only driver on the grid that did that undercut. Was it necessity? Was it
it was a little.
Okay. Was there damage?
Yeah, it wasn't my plan. There was damage, so the calculus in my head was that if I pit with everyone else, I would drop several positions repairing my car. So I would rather just take the reduced stage points and not send myself back to who knows where.
Well, it ended up panning out beautifully because nobody else stopped, so you just coasted right along to the front, and you had command from the green at the stage break. You just drove away from everybody. So
yeah, I was a little surprised about that one myself for stage 2.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked there was not more of a fight at the front. There was some tangos back in like P4, P5, P6. There was a lot of battling going on there, but you just kind of drove away from everybody on the stage break. So, man, I feel like the broadcast never points to you enough because you're just winning all the time. But massive congrats, man. That was a super smooth race, and I mean, from where I was sitting, beautifully done.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Now I got to move on to our P2 finisher, Joe Dirt. Thought you might have it in you to get another comeback. You showed a nice flash of pace there at the beginning of the race. Got up ahead on the dive to turn 7, but I'm going to guess the game threw a good old AMS2 stewarding call at you and made you yield the position because you just mashed the brake pedal.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the replay to actually see what happened in that corner, but I don't even know why it gave me a penalty, and it looked like whatever happened, Nikita fell back a bit, so I had to smash on my brake pedal because I didn't want to get penalized, and before I could even hit the push the talk button, then contact was made and sent back.
I was like on the edge of my chair that was such a freaking textbook move into turn 7. I thought that was going to be a wildly closer race than it was because the pace you showed at the race start was great, and then scything your way back through the field again 2 weeks in a row, you had a great run, and I thought maybe you'd have enough to bring it to Nikita, but just seemed to fall short. Looked like the sector times were pretty close in Sector 3, but you were losing just a little bit of ground in 1 and 2. I asked Nikita too, but this is a personal favorite track of mine. I don't know about everybody else, but is this typically a stronger track for you or just kind of trying to get through it?
I kind of hate Indy, so I was kind of just trying to get through it. The car did not feel good. Like, I don't know what it was during the race versus practice, but the car did not want to stay to the track.
It is such a balance oriented track. I think you've got to have a good balance here, or you're going to suffer the entire race. And I pointed that out too tonight on the broadcast. It's deceptively difficult to get around Indy because it's very flat on the infield, but these cars with the amount of power that they have, getting that power to the ground quickly is crucial. And I think just the balance in the car is everything at Indy. And if you don't feel comfortable in the car, the fact that you didn't feel comfortable in the car and you brought it home in second is very impressive still. So it looks like we're in Montreal next week. So is that typically a track you like? It's a good street circuit. We like street fights. Those have created better racing than I would have ever expected here in these, stock cars. So feeling good going into the next round of street racing?
We'll see how the NASCAR handles it, but Montreal as itself is one of my favorite tracks.
Well, if you love the track, I think you're probably going to be all right, at least to a degree. You find a way to get the car to bend to your will. So I look forward to seeing you out at Montreal, man. Congrats on the second place. Strong season so far, and you and Nikita are going to be neck and neck, I think, in the Drivers' Championship going into the next two rounds. So it's going to be exciting to see that pan out. Oh, I've got to point out, I apologize, Nikita, I don't know if there was like some internal discussion between you and Acceptable Loss going, hey, one of the guys for the team that's beating us in the championship's not going to make it tonight. You all had two cars in the top 5. That's the best performance Grip DLL has had all season. And you couldn't have picked a better week to capitalize on that point deficit.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him for that performance. That was great. I didn't even know Ian Arnold wouldn't make it, or I forgot. But
yeah,
I'm very fortunate.
That was the best way you could have maximized points. He was facing a hell of amount of pressure from Cactus there at the end, and he kept his cool. Had a little bit of a brake lock into turn 12, but almost looked like he was going to lose the position, but Cactus ended up going too hard on the throttle out of 14 a lap later and spun. So great job for Grip DLL. I had to point that out. I knew I was forgetting to say something, but yeah, that was the best way to maximize points for you all today.
Thanks.
And yeah, Joe, great drive tonight in P2. That was I was low key cheering for you to try to fight for the win again and have 2 comeback stories in a row, but just doesn't sound like you had the car there for it. But I think we might have a show from you at Montreal if you do enjoy the track as much as you say you do.
I'm gonna try. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, our third step on the podium is Ian McClure, handled Heel Toe Hero, the one and only Team Ian driver this week. How did it feel to be the lone wolf tonight, bearing the weight of the whole team on your shoulders?
Yeah, it's fine. Just I messed up qualifying, so I clawed my way back, and just managing that tire temperatures for me was the biggest thing.
So I was going to ask you.
Hot.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the qualifying attempt because traditionally both of you have qualified pretty well. Not always, top 3 or even top 5, but usually somewhere hovering right around the top 10. And you kind of work your way back. And I noticed an uncharacteristically off-pace qualifying, but it's tough at Indy especially. You guys have a 5-minute qualifying window. It's very narrow. I mean, that's only enough time really to get 2 laps in if you're lucky. Where did the mistake fall? Was it, I'm going to guess, turn 4?
No, I cut the track on one, and then I spun. I don't remember. It's He's coming out of one of the long right-handers.
Yeah. There's
Trying
some
to get some
tricky
rotation, I think.
tricky corners here, but you had an exceptional drive back to the front. You know, working through, how much of that was a strategy play, especially you talk about the tire temps and how you had to battle with those. You know, were you thinking strategy tonight, or were you just thinking I need to keep the car in one piece and work my way to the front without rocking the ship too much?
Yeah, I didn't have any strategy. Yeah, I was just trying to work my way back up, not die.
It worked. I was actually not aware. I've never driven these cars at Indy. I've driven tons of other stuff at Indy. I was not aware that tire temps were going to be an issue going into this evening, and I actually don't know that that is data that I can see from where I'm sitting. But watching you work your way back through the field, especially on that final stage, you had some great racing there. I believe you were chasing down Ben for quite a while, and just patience was what I kind of gathered. It's very entertaining watching you all race because there is a degree of patience that you don't see in a lot of other drivers. There were opportunities that you could have made a lunge and probably shouldered your way in there, but you waited until you get the perfect window to get into that final podium spot. So that was just very entertaining to watch. And, you know, are you thinking lap counter in those moments, or are you just like, I'm going to wait for the perfect opportunity to get by and go? Because you never ran into a time issue. You know, you weren't real close to the end of the race when that was happening, but are you like, I know I'm faster and I can get by, or are you just waiting for a mistake?
No, I just wait for the right moment. I'm always really patient with that, with overtaking and stuff. The opportunity always presents itself. So.
And that it
To
did.
at least try. Oh, yeah, I'm always super patient with that.
Well, it was a great drive. I very much enjoyed watching that battle. It was super exciting. And congrats on the P3. You know, we talk about maximizing the day for the team. I don't think you could have asked for a much better, you know, race day than bringing it home P3 when you're the sole driver of the team out there. So, massive props and great drive.
Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you all for doing these post-race interviews. If people dig them, I'll keep doing them. But I'll turn you loose. Go drink champagne or water or sleeping aids, whatever you all decide to do. And great race. That was a good race to watch tonight, guys, and I appreciate y'all doing it, and thanks for putting on a hell of a show.
Thanks for streaming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks. Good chatting with you.
All righty, everybody. That is the conclusion of the CASSCAR Roadmaster Series Round 6 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Thrilling finish. What a great drive. And again, you know, I'm so excited to see the team's championship going forward as we start to wind the season down. You know, with just two remaining rounds, Montreal and Road America, both very different. You know, we're going from a permanent road course to a street circuit to another permanent road course. And Montreal is very weird in the nature that it is pseudo-permanent street circuit. It's bumpy like a street circuit, but it's kind of a permanent fixture. So it'll race very interestingly. It's still narrow, still tight, and it's still fast. So it's going to be very exciting to watch these guys go around this track. Joe Dirt mentioning that it's a favorite track of his. And having strong performances at street circuits in the past. These cars are so much fun to watch go around a street circuit, so it'll definitely be exciting to see these guys rip through Canada next week. But that is going to be all, and I am on the wrong screen here. I apologize. That is going to be all for Can-Am SimSport Round 6 of the CASSCAR Roadmaster Series. For those of you in CASS that are looking for other special events to do, I do think we finally locked in a date for our Indianapolis 500. Race time has not been determined yet, but America's Racing League will be hosting our annual Indianapolis 500 in May to kick off the month of May, and our second season of the Formula USA Series was a huge hit last season, and we are following it up this season with another knockout calendar. I can't share any details on the calendar just yet, but they are coming. But we are looking at qualifying being Tuesday, May 12th, and it will be a very wide window qualifying. You do not have to attend to the whole thing. We are qualifying as they do in the Indianapolis 500, so the fastest 4-lap average speed, and it will be ordered by 4-lap average speed. That is how we will determine the starting order. So qualifying will be Tuesday, May 12th, and the race will be Saturday, May 16th, likely starting between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern. I don't know that we've pinned down the time yet, but we are in the final stages of getting that sorted out. Registration will be posted to America's Racing League first, then followed, I believe, to public platforms beyond. So if you're interested in running the Indianapolis 500, we'll be running the Formula USA 2023 chassis. Feel free to shoot me a message if you got any questions or interest or whatever. I can definitely get you the infos you need, but it will be a blast. The qualifying tool works beautifully. It's so exciting to watch people try to get faster and faster and faster cars. So this will be a very exciting Indianapolis 500 event, and I cannot wait to see what we can knock out there. So hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. I had a great time. Thanks for having me. Thanks to Can-Am SimSport for letting me continue to do these broadcasts. I very much enjoy doing them. I do apologize. I was a little quieter tonight. I'm feeling a little under the weather. The allergies are kicking my ass, and a little bit of a tiny headache, and I think it was allergy related. Still kind of nagging at me a little bit, but such is life, and such is living in the Midwest. Apologies for the technical difficulties there at the beginning. Hopefully those are gone for the next stream. But that is going to be all for me tonight. We are back tomorrow with America's Racing League American Le Mans Series at Road Atlanta. And I hope that I don't leave the stream on starting soon next week. So be sure, or tomorrow. So be sure to pop into the chat and make sure that I'm at least doing all that right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.